Good morning or good afternoon. It depends on where you are. I'm Ettore Volpicelli, Developer Marketing Director for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Thanks to spend the next 2 hours with us. Today we have a great team, specialists on Oracle Apex that will drive you on this experience to build and structure an application using Oracle Apex and JavaScript. As you can see, we will have our lead instructor, Chaitanya, that I'm going to introduce in a bit, and our great support team that will be behind the scene, giving you support through the Q&A. So don't forget that the benefit of this live event is actually to get the support from them directly, and you will not stop to enjoy the performance of the lab that we are proposing. So before to go ahead, a spot, our next developer live event on simplified modern app development. We have 2 dates, the 3 of August for Americas and 5 of August for our time zone, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. There will be also our friends of Asia Pacific connected. Here you have the bit link, and don't forget that if you are watching this video, if you watch this video after the dates of the event, everything will be available on demand on developer.oracle.com/developerlive. So Chaitanya, now up to you, and thank you again, guys.
Thank you, Ettore. Good afternoon and good evening to all of you. Welcome to the Hands-on Lab workshop today. My name is Chaitanya, and I'm a product manager on the Oracle Apex team. On the screen, you see my Twitter handle, and I'm also there on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions on Apex, you can reach out to me on Twitter as well as on LinkedIn. Before going ahead with the Hands-on Lab, let's have a quick overview of what Apex is all about. Apex, or Oracle Apex, is the world's most popular low-code application development platform for enterprise applications. Using Apex, you can build secure, scalable enterprise applications with world-class features that can be deployed anywhere. Using Apex, you can quickly develop and deploy compelling applications that can solve real business problems and provide immediate value. With Apex, you don't need to be an expert in a vast array of technologies to deliver sophisticated solutions. You just need to focus on solving the business problem and let Apex take care of the rest. Apex runs everywhere your Oracle database runs, whether it is on-premise or on cloud. So you can use Apex on the Oracle Autonomous Database, and what you have, Apex Service as well. Yes, the world's most popular low-code application development platform is also available as a simple, all-inclusive service that scales as you grow. Your Apex service can be ready in just a few minutes, and you will never have to worry about the complexity of meters, load balancers, encryption, and more. With Apex service, you can develop and deploy on a pre-configured, fully managed, and secure environment without any of the hassles such as upkeep or maintenance. So what exactly would you get with Apex Application Development Service, or Apex Service, is the world's most popular low-code application development platform, Apex, on the world's best converged database, Oracle Autonomous Database, with Exadata on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And in today's workshop, we're going to use Oracle Apex Service, or Apex Service, for the hands-on lab. So let's get into the workshop now. The workshop includes all of the steps that are mentioned in the slide. Let's understand what this Apex plus server-side JavaScript workshop is all about. For developers who know SQL, PL SQL, there's no other framework is as empowering as Apex. But we know that all developers, they don't know how to program using PL SQL. Database 21c has introduced a new feature called MLE, Multilingual Engine. So starting Database 21c, developers can now write server-side JavaScript. So with this, JavaScript professionals who choose that technology as a life career can now be part of the team and participate in Apex applications code base. So you can leverage a massive set of JavaScript libraries for tasks that are actually hard to solve using PL SQL. In this hands-on lab, what you do is you learn how to utilize this particular feature, that is writing JavaScript in different areas of Apex. We will start with SQL commands, then we will go with processes, we'll create some validations, and finally load external modules to empower your Apex application further. So the first step in the workshop is signing up for an Oracle Cloud free trial account. In the chat window, you will see a bit.ly link. So please click the link to create an Oracle Cloud free trial account. If you already have an Oracle Cloud free trial account, that's completely fine. You can use that account for this hands-on lab. The next step after creating your Oracle free trial account is creating an Apex service, and then you create an Apex workspace. Then the actual hands-on lab would start, wherein you start creating an application from a spreadsheet. You prepare the report and test the pseudocode. Then you extend the application using JavaScript. And finally, you use external modules. You need two things for this hands-on lab. One is the bit.ly link, which you click to sign up for the Oracle Cloud free trial account. And the other one is the lab guide. Both the links are available on the slide, and they're already pasted in the chat window for you. So make sure you have the lab guide open in a separate window or a tab for you to review as and when you proceed with the instructions, the hands-on lab guide. When you are signing up for a free trial account, once you sign up for a free trial account, make sure that your home region is Germany, which is Central Frankfurt, or UK South, which is London. So make sure you have the hands-on lab guide ready as well. What you get with this free tier by signing up for the Oracle Cloud free tier is you get always free services that you can use for unlimited time, plus a 30-day free trial, the free credits that you can use for additional OCI services. So please go to the chat window and click the link to create a free trial, Oracle Cloud free trial account. So I already have my Oracle Cloud free trial account created, and I have opened the hands-on lab guide in another tab. So let's review. The first prerequisite, you can actually do this hands-on lab by using the Apex application development service, as well as an autonomous database, but I would highly recommend, and we really need to do this on the Apex application development service today, right? So you can also choose to use autonomous database if you're already having an Oracle Cloud free trial account, but let us focus on using Apex application development service in today's hands-on lab. Okay. So here it says you need to click the link to create your free account. The link is available in your chat window, so please make sure you click the link and you create the free trial account. Once you create the free trial account, you will be navigated to this home page, the OCI console. If you're not yet there, we'll give you enough time. Once the sign-up process is complete, you should be logged in automatically to the OCI console. If not, make sure you check your inbox, which has an email, and make note of your username, password, and the cloud account name. Then you can come to cloud.oracle.com, enter your cloud account name, and then click the next button and proceed with the wizard. So I'm already there, logged into my OCI console, and I can get started with creating an Apex service now. So the first thing that you need to do is sign up for an Oracle Cloud free trial account, and also have the hands-on lab guide running in parallel, either in a tab or a separate window. You need to review the instructions as you proceed with the hands-on lab. The quick steps for creating an Apex service will be going to the OCI console, and in the left navigation menu, you see developer services. So click this developer services, and you click Apex instances. Click Apex Application Development. And you can create an Apex service from here. That would be the next step. So once the sign-up process is complete, you will be navigated to the OCI console. And then in the next step, you create an Apex instance. So go to the navigation menu, Developer Services, go to Apex Instances, select a compartment and create an Apex service. When you're provisioning the database in the later step, make sure that the database is 21C because you're using the feature MLE, which is JavaScript, writing server-side JavaScript in the Apex applications, you need database 21C. So click Create Apex Service. And make sure you choose database 21C. And scroll down, input your password, and then click Create Apex Service. Your Apex service now shows provisioning. It should be turning into green in a few minutes, and it shows available, and that's when you will be launching Apex. So that's what the next step says. So after you clicking Create Apex Service, and then it's available, then you click Launch Apex. All right, so the hands-on lab guide has all of the instructions in detail to start from how do you create an Oracle Cloud free data account. So the first lab that we're going to do right now, there are 4 labs altogether. The first one is lab 1, creating an application from a spreadsheet. The estimated time for this hands-on lab is 5 minutes. Okay. So we know that Apex allows you to convert spreadsheets into applications. You can convert your existing Excel sheets or spreadsheets into Apex applications. So in this particular hands-on lab, we have 3 steps. The first one is loading project and task data. And the second step is creating an application. And the third step is running and exploring the new application. Okay, so let me explain all of the steps. The first thing that I want to do is go to App Builder, which is step 1, and click Create a new application. So just closing this guy. So this is not needed anymore for me. Just closing this guy. So all I now have is my Workspace homepage. This is the Workspace homepage. The first time when you log into Apex, you will see the Workspace homepage. You're logged into the low-code Workspace homepage now. So I see App Builder, SQL Workshop, Team Development, and App Gallery. App Builder is a module which allows me to create applications to build database web applications. And SQL Workshop is where you query your database. You run your SQL commands, you create your SQL scripts and things like that. And Team Development and App Gallery are other modules that you can explore by yourself. So these are the 2 ones that we will be using throughout across the hands-on lab guide. One is App Builder and SQL Workshop. So let's see, what's the first step is to navigate to Application Builder and click Create a New Application. So for those of you who are able to come until this step, until this hands-on lab, please proceed further. You don't need to wait or watch me thoroughly. You can watch me in parallel as you perform the steps, but you don't need to focus. You can focus on going through the lab guide and then perform the steps on your own. And you can post your questions in the Q&A tab for my colleagues to help you out. Okay. So right. So click Create New App. So go to App Builder. Clicking App Builder. And either click Create or Create a New App. So I click create a new app. Okay. So what we are doing in this hands-on lab, we are actually copy and pasting spreadsheet data. We're actually using the sample data that is shipped with Apex. Okay. So step three is from a file, you click from a file, and in step 4, you click copy and paste. Right. Let's see. So either you can create a new application. This is out of scope of this lab. So what we are doing is in this lab, we're converting a spreadsheet into an application. So either you can upload CSV, XLSX, XML, or JSON file. So make sure you follow the instructions thoroughly. We will be using the data which is provided in the sample application, in the sample data that is shipped with Apex here. Okay. So click from a file. Okay. So from a file, and then click copy and paste. We have a bunch of sample data sets available, and for this hands-on lab, we're going to use projects and tasks. So click project and task. The spreadsheet data is loaded for you, which is actually typically, if you just copy and paste it in an Excel sheet, it is actually a spreadsheet. It looks like a spreadsheet for you. Okay. So step 5 is select project and task from the sample dataset and click next, and then review the past data. Enter project and task for the table name. Make sure you enter the table name as is, because later on in the queries, when you copy and paste, you might run into errors. So if you're able to follow that and then adjust the code accordingly, that's completely fine. But I would suggest you use the exact table names and exact names as is. So click next. And for the table name, let's give that as project task. Okay, scroll down a bit. You see that the data is being parsed. Okay, you don't need to worry about anything. You see that the data that you copy and pasted is now beautifully set up into different data types. So Apex has nicely set this up as for a table, basically. Okay, you have already input the table name, so it will be stored in the table in this format, and then you will be clicking load data. Right. So the next step here for us is load data. Click load data, and then we'll go to step 2, which is creating an application. Okay, so let's come here. Table project tasks created with 73 rows. You can either view the table here from this location, which navigates you to the SQL workshop, which will be displayed in object browser for you, or else you just click create application for you to proceed further with creating an application. In our hands-on lab, what we are doing is we are creating an application, right? So let's click create application as in step 1, which is click create application. Now it navigates us to a create application wizard, which is a one-stop wizard for you in Apex, which allows you to build beautiful applications, beautiful responsive applications. So here you see project task, the table name is picked up, and it's by default, it's popped up into the as the application name. Scroll down. You see a different set of pages that are automatically created for you. There's a home page, which is a blank page. Based on the data, by reviewing the data, by parsing the data, Apex has nicely suggested some pages for this application. One, it is a dashboard. The other one is a project task search, which is the trusted search page. And the other one is project task report and the calendar page. Okay. So these are the different pages which are created by default, just based on the sample data, just based on the spreadsheet data that you just copy pasted. So in step 2 here, in the create application page, you click check all for all features and then click create application. So not making any changes, just clicking create application. We're just accepting everything as default. So it shows the progress of application creation, creating a faster search page, creating a report and farm page. Take the blueprint and finish it up. All right, so the application is created now, application 100 project tasks, and you have all of the pages up here, okay? Yes, I didn't choose check all, otherwise there would have been additional pages which have been created for me, so I didn't choose that. So make sure you select check all. So if you select check all, additional pages would be coming up for you. Okay, so when a wizard finishes the creating application, then you'll be redirected to the application home page. All right. So don't worry if you're not able to finish this so far. I'll be waiting for you after this hands-on lab for a few minutes before proceeding to the next step. Okay, so let's finish this step and then review quickly what we have done. The next step is step 3, which is running and exploring the new application. So what you do is click Run Application, enter your user credentials. You remember we had the Workspace username and password, which is nothing but the database username and password. So we need to use the same username and password to sign into the application, and then you can explore the application and different pages that are built. Okay, so let's go to the app builder and then click Run Application. Okay, so Run Application, username and password. Just giving the username. In here, you see there's this particular black color bar, which is called as a developer toolbar. Okay, so click sign. See that this is the application that you just created using the spreadsheet data that you copy pasted. So let's explore these pages one by one. There are 4 different pages which are created for you. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. And apart from the home page, which is a blank page. And let's see. In the left navigation menu, if you click this one, this will actually be collapsed. And then you'll see here. So click Dashboard. Apex does the best case of the data, and then it comes up with different types of charts for you. Right? So you can also edit these charts later on using the edit page to or the edit page functionality, which navigates you to the page designer, which is where you actually edit the application components, the page components of the application. An application basically includes pages, right? So these are the different pages. So you can edit the pages as such. You can edit the application components or page components or Apex components by navigating to page designer. We'll explore those things later on in the next lab. So the next one is project task search. This is a faceted search page for you. So you might have seen this when you're doing some shopping or maybe your airline booking or tickets booking or whatever. So to the left side, you see facets. If you're selecting this, the report gets refreshed, filtered and refreshed. So if you just select this one, maybe this one, so it's further get refreshed. So just play around with this later on. So this is faceted search page, where the left side is the facets and the right side is the report. And then there is project tasks report, which is created, which is an interactive report. So we would be spending most of the time in today's hands-on lab on this particular interactive report. So there are different types of reports that are built with Apex: classic report, interactive grades, faster search. And so here, this is an interactive report. So if you click this edit icon, it navigates to the form dialog page. So click that. We'll be doing all these steps later on. And then finally, there is something called as calendar. So I don't think so. Yeah, so the data is available, it pops up for you. So you can also make these links clickable. You can play around with this. But, all right, so let's wait for the friends to finish this hands-on lab. So I will quickly repeat what we have done in this hands-on lab till now. So we performed lab 1. In lab 1, what we did is we signed into the workspace that we created, and then we loaded a sample data, which is projects and tasks data in step 1. So we clicked create new application. in the application builder, and then from a file, and from a file, we then quickly copy and pasted the data. We copy and pasted project and sample data, and then later on, we clicked create application. So during this process, we noticed that Apex is building a table, underlying database table. On top of this table is what we are creating an application in next step. So in step 2, we are creating an application, right? In creating an application, we verify that all of the rows have been loaded into the table. Click create application, and then make sure you select click check all for all the features, and then you click create application. And then finally, in the last step, which is step 3, we ran and explored the new application. We run the application and we notice there are several interesting pages for us to explore more. There's a dashboard page, which is a combination of different charts, which we can later on, tweak as required based on our requirements. And then we also have project task search, which is a faceted search page. And then we have project task report, which is an interactive report. And then finally, we also looked into a calendar, which is built by Apex for us. So that's pretty much on lab 1. I would like to stop at this moment and take a quick look. If anyone is still stuck at this point, you may want to raise your hand so that my colleagues can help you. If anyone is stuck at any point of time, if anyone is stuck with any of the steps, if you're not able to proceed with any of the steps, if you're stuck, if you're not able to understand or follow any of the instructions, please do let us know. Yeah. If you're stuck at this particular lab, if everyone is done, then they can proceed with the next lab. So I'll give you 2 minutes because the entire lab is for 5 minutes. So we have done almost like 10 minutes. So we went very slow, but yeah, nice, because I wanted to make sure that everyone is up on OCI, on free tier account, and also create Apex application development service, and then create a workspace, and then perform the steps. So I don't see anyone. Looks like everyone is good with this, so that I can proceed with the next lab. Prepare the report and provide JavaScript pseudocode. Okay. Okay, once you created a new account, the next step is in your hands-on lab guide. The next step is to sign in. You need to come to the development services into the left navigation menu. You need to go to the home page, OCI homepage, and then you need to sign in to your so let me show you. The person is stuck there. So what you need to do is, once you are done with your creating your OCI account, you need to log in, or you'll be automatically logged in. In step 3 here, you see developer services to your left menu. Click Apex instances, and then you click select a compartment and click create Apex service. And then you can follow further steps. Make sure you choose database 21C, not 19C, database 21C, and then you create your Apex instance. Once you're done with that, you launch Apex and you perform lab 1, which we just completed. All right. Having said that, let's move to lab 2 now. We're already done with 1 hour, so we left with 1 more hour. So let's focus on lab 2 now. Let's see what's there in lab 2. So now that you created an application, you have a report and form, you have a faceted search page, you have a calendar, and you have a dashboard. So what's the next step here? You need to prepare the report and test the pseudocode. The main agenda of today is to use server-side JavaScript. So let's see how and where are we using server-side JavaScript in Emacs. What are all the components that you can use and where you're going to use these things? So in this lab, you'll be preparing the report page by removing the project column and adding a select list for all of the projects. So we'll be using a select list for the projects, and then you will see how to filter the report. And then finally, you will be adding a button to extend date for all the tasks of the project, right? So every project has a start date and end date. You will be extending using JavaScript. You'll be extending 1 day for all of the end dates for those of the tasks that do not have closed status. So, like for example, there are 3 different types of projects here. One is closed, open, and pending. So, except closed, the remaining two, which is open and pending, will have the date extended, will have the last date, end date extended. So, let's see. The estimated time is 15 minutes, and let's see. Collapse all, expand all of the steps. Okay, let's see. Again. Okay. So here we are going to test the in-database JavaScript code. So database 21C allows for multilingual engine feature, right? So we are going to use that one right now in SQL Commands region of the SQL workshop in Apex. We will write a pseudocode and extend one of the project's tasks. Okay, we'll extend the end date. So the first thing is in step 1, click on SQL workshop and then click SQL Commands, and then you copy the following code. Let's see. Go to App Builder, go to SQL Workshop. Okay, and here you see SQL Commands. You said make sure you have your hands-on lab guide in the next browser or maybe in an adjacent tab, so that you need to copy the code in step 2. You copy this SQL code. Copy. So what you're doing, select start from project task where project equals to email integration and stated not equals to closed. Okay, so let's see what are all those projects which are not closed. Oh, sorry. Copy this one. Copy the code. Okay, once this is done, then just click run to see. So my screen, you see open and pending tasks. These are the 2 tasks which are open and pending, which are not closed. Okay, so this is displayed by this SQL code. And then, okay, so here if you see in step 3, for language, you see SQL, PL SQL, JavaScript, MLE. So right now we're not using JavaScript MLE. So either you can choose SQL or PL SQL. The default is set to SQL. So either you can have SQL or select PL SQL and enter this particular copied code, SQL, and then click run, then you will see the result set at the bottom of the page. Okay. Okay, so once this is done, let's proceed to the next step. So, step 4. Okay, so here, if you see in step 3, the end date, let's see. Okay. So if you notice the end date here, for example, it might be different depending upon the date, data set. So for me, it's 6/26 and 7/18. Okay, let's see. The next step is examine the following code, and the code is using DBMS MLE package, which is in database 21C. So here, this particular package, DBMS MLE, allows developers to switch the context from PL SQL to JavaScript. So you can now use JavaScript. So you'll be running the in-database JavaScript code. So let's copy the code first and then observe. Or you might want to just take a quick look at this. Declare, and then you have a CDX, DBMS MLE context handle, and then you might want to review the code. So what exactly this is doing is this will display a message once for all of the tasks that are not closed, that is open and pending, that the dates have been extended successfully. So first thing is, let's copy this code. Okay, so this is using DBS MLE package. Now paste the PL SQL in SQL Commands. Okay, let's clear this guy and then paste this guy. Okay. So you see that this particular DBMS MLE Zenta PL SQL is packaged. This Zenta PL SQL is pasted in here. And then you set the language attribute to PL SQL and then run the command. So here for language, let's choose PL SQL and then say run. So right now you're running the in-database JavaScript code. Clicking run. You see that the task with the ID 29 and the status open has been extended successfully. Task with ID 58 and status pending has been extended successfully. The code has been successful, statement processed. So we are done with this. So we understood. Now let's run the code again. Let's run the SQL statement again to see if the dates have been really extended or not. So copy paste that particular SQL. And then let's change this to SQL, can be even field SQL. So click run. You see that the dates have been extended now. So it's 627, which is the 626, and then it's for 718, which is 719 now. So open and pending, these two tasks end dates have been extended. Okay, so this has been extended by 1 day. I hope you guys are following. If you're stuck, if you have any questions, please make sure you get live support. You put your question in Q&A tab. My colleagues are happy to help you out with any of the steps. Okay, next one. Okay, now, so what we had so far looks very good, very clean and neat, but we've made it more simpler to work with JavaScript for server-side code now. So let's examine this particular code and see how nicely this is written. So this is copy this code. And now this time, instead of PL SQL, so far we use the in-database JavaScript. Now we are using the database, we are using MLE, which is JavaScript language, and then we will be directly entering or running the JavaScript server-side code as it. So what I'm going to do is clear this and paste this entire one here. That's the one. You now see how the JavaScript code can be run. So I changed language to JavaScript MLE and now run. Okay. So here you see end date is 627, 719. Let's click run now. Okay. 29 and 58 status, the status pending and open have been extended successfully. Right. So we now executed JavaScript server-side code within SQL commands and change the language attribute to JavaScript MLE. So essentially we have run JavaScript in the database. Now, let's run this code again, the SQL statement, and see whether the dates have been extended really or not. Here, command, so paste in this particular code. Now change it to SQL. 628 and 720. So the dates have been extended successfully because JavaScript code was successful. All right, so far what we have done is we wrote some pseudocode using SQL Workshop. We learned how to enter in database JavaScript so that we changed it to the PL SQL engine, and then we input that particular script, and then we ran the script. So that's executed successfully. And then in the next step, alternatively, what we did is that we have the JavaScript code, so that the script, which we actually run by changing the language to JavaScript MLE, and then that's run successfully as well. So with this, we're done with step 1 of lab 2. Let's go with step 2. I'm hoping you guys are able to follow. And if there are any questions, please make sure you reach out to my colleagues on the Q&A tab. They're happy to help you out. If you are still having any issues, if you are stuck, if you think that you need help, you can also raise your hand. So please get live support from my colleagues as they're available for you to help you out. I do remind you that this environment is going to be free forever and free for you. So don't worry, you can perform the steps, anything missed, or maybe to explore the product more later on, explore Apex more once you're done. So step 2 is preparing the report. So what are they in step 2? Now that we have completed testing the pseudocode, let's navigate to the report page and perform certain things. The first thing is we will navigate to actions columns on the interactive report and select project column. Okay, let's go. So here on the developer toolbar, just go click application. Okay, or else let's run the application once again. Or else if you are on the home page of your application, click project tasks report. So here, this is what we were discussing earlier in the other lab. So this is an interactive report with an edit icon. So you can just click any of the icons and take a look at the form dialog page. Okay. So select actions columns and then select project column. So what we do is come here, go to actions, and you see all of these menu items available. So click columns, the first one, and then you click project. Okay, so what is asked? So we need to move the project column by clicking the left row to remove it from the display columns. And then save the report. And then in step 3, we say default report type to primary, and then say apply. Okay, so what we do is come here and then select project and click this guy, remove from display in report. So this is moved under ID in do not display, and say apply. By doing so, project is not displayed anymore in the report. And we need to save this report as a primary report for us to perform other tasks. So we don't want to display project name there. So we remove that. And then what we're doing is going to report, click save report. And then in the save report dialog, you'll see two different options, as name report and as default report settings. So click as default report settings. And for default report type, you choose primary and alternative. You have two options you can choose. You should choose primary and click apply. All right, so your report is saved now. Let's proceed to the next step. While in page 4, click on edit page 4 in the developer toolbar. Right, so let's do this. So this is what I explained to you earlier. So this guy is developer toolbar. So this is page 4. And if you click edit page 4, you'll be navigated to the edit mode of this particular page, which is the page designer, right? Click edit page 4. You will be navigated to the page designer, where you see all of these page components in one location for you. Okay, so this is rendering and layout, and then this is the property editor. So where you can edit the make the changes to the attributes of the properties of the page. So the properties of the components. So the first thing that you do is in step 5, right click on the content body and then click on create region menu item. So come here and then go to content body. So here you see under rendering, you see content body, right click this and say create region. Once you do this, you see to the right side, the property editor displays that particular component. So here region is being displayed with title, new, and all those things. So we need to make some changes. Scroll down, set the property values for the new region. So for title, we need to make it project, and we need to change the sequence to 5. So what we do is change the title to project, and in here under layout you see sequence response. So change from 20 to 5 so that it is more to the front. Okay, so now the next step is creating a page item on this particular project region. So what you do is right click on project region and click create page item. Okay, so right click on this. Sorry. Right click on this and say create page item. So this is the next step that we have done. Now you need to update the page item properties. So what are they? So the first thing is you need to make sure that the name is P4 project and it is a select list followed by it is a SQL query type. So let's come here, let's do this. And then for type, make sure that this is a select list. Once you do so, if you see that there is an error and then if you need to scroll down, and see that the list of values for the type, you need to change this to SQL query. Here you input the SQL query. Okay, so now what you're doing is select distinct project ID, project R from project task. So click this guy, scroll down, and then copy in here. And then here, you need to make sure for display extra values is disabled, for display null value is enable. So let's go here, scroll down. You can actually validate this by clicking this guy. Okay, so click this and say click validate. So that's validation is successful. Okay. Okay, it's not mentioned, but nice to do that. So scroll down. So display extra values, deselect this, make sure that this is selected as is. And then for null display value, enter select project. Scroll down a bit. For null display value, enter select. Okay. So we're done with creating a page item. The next thing is we'll create a button. Okay. So let's create a button. So right click on region buttons, which is step 9. Right click on the region buttons and click create button menu item. Okay, scroll down, click create button. Let's see, we need to input a name for this. So the name is extend project task and the label is extend project task. The sequence is 20 and the button position is right side of the interactive report search bar. So let's copy the name, which is step 10. You're setting the properties for the button. So here, if you select the button here in the left side and to the right side, which is the property editor, enter the button name and just click on the label. The label is automatically picked up for you. The sequence should be 20. This is 40, so that it's moved further. And then the button position is right interactive report search bar. So position here, that should be right of interactive report search bar. There's a typo over there, so make sure this is right of interactive report search bar. There is a typo in the instruction. Now click on template options and update type by warning and click OK button. Okay. Scroll down if you see here. For template options, click use template defaults. Okay. And then for style, let's select simple and say OK. Oh, sorry, it's a warning. So click this. For style, fine. This is warning and say OK. And then finally, you click save and run the page to see how it looks like. Your project task report should look like that. Let's save and run the page. Okay, so your projects now looks like this. All of the projects is a select list now. Okay, so and then you have all of the projects. The report is displayed here. So you have the project as well as the projects report displayed under impact. So that's on that particular step. So let's proceed to the next step. Okay, so the next step is navigate to the page designer for page 4 and select project task report, and then you need to update the where class. So what we need to do is go here, go to page designer. Okay. Okay, page designer for 4 and select project task report. So just go here and then go to project task report. Scroll down and update the where clause here. Okay, and page items to submit P4 project. Just created that. P4 project. Okay. And then after this, you're creating a dynamic action so that we need to make sure the page is refreshed upon changing every project. So let's go to the project page item, P4 project item, right click and click create dynamic action. Okay, so click create dynamic action and then give it a name on change. And then you need to update the action. So give it a name on change. And then let's see, action is refresh. Okay, and selection type is region, project task. So your selection type, so should be region, and the region which should get refreshed is project tab. And then save and run the page finally. So now let's see what happens if you save and run the page. Okay, now you don't see any data, but if you choose any of the projects, for example, you see the data is refreshed and you can see the report underneath. So developers, and let's see, for example, convert spreadsheet. So you see data being refreshed for you. All right, so I guess that completes that too. So far, we have examined how to write JavaScript code in SQL workshop. And now then the next step, the project report page has been prepared for the next lab. So this is what we have done so far. So if anyone is stuck till now, please reach out to my colleagues in the Q&A or raise your hands. We'll give 2 to 3 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. So this particular lab is pretty straightforward. So far what we have done is we created an application from a spreadsheet, right? And then we played around with the application. We looked into different pages in the application. And then we wrote some pseudocode to extend the end date for projects which are not closed, like pending and open projects. So we did 2 different things there. One is we using SQL commands, we first input pure SQL code and we ran the in-database option. We just ran the script and the date has been extended successfully. But the next thing what we did is actually change the language to JavaScript MLE and then actually entered the JavaScript code and then ran the script in SQL commands. So that's executed successfully. And then finally, we prepared the report. Like we thought like we don't want the project column to be there. So we just want to get rid of that one. And then next is that we save that report. And then we made a couple of other changes, like we added a page item, we wanted to have a select list for the project. So upon selecting a project, the report should get refreshed in the bottom of the page. So that's what we did. So for that, we also created a dynamic action on that particular page. So far, this is what we have done. So I guess Pretty much everyone is following this carefully. We're going very slow. If you have any questions, please let us know in the Q&A tab. Would like to proceed with lab 3, which is the next lab. Extending application using server-side JavaScript. So this takes 15 minutes. Let's see. So the next 2 labs are purely focusing on the JavaScript. So make sure you please pay close attention to, or you might want to pay close attention when you're performing the lab. Make sure that you follow the instructions. So navigate to page 4 in Page Designer and then select the Processing tab. So let's navigate to page 4. This is page 4 already. We are in page 4. And then here you see dynamic actions, and this is the processing tab. And then you right click on processing and create process menu item. So we are basically creating a process now. So what exactly are we doing in this hands-on lab? We will extend execute a JavaScript code to extend the project task once you click the extend project task button. Instead of doing it running in the code, is just make sure that the button is clicked and then the task is extended accordingly. Okay. And also, if we want to prevent the updates of that particular page of the task status to be, if the task status is closed, we would prevent updating of that particular task. All right, so okay, so let's go ahead. So create a process, and then we create, we just give it a name. Process, right, select process, create process, give it a name, extend project task. So we give this extend project task. Scroll down, you don't need to change anything else, but language is JavaScript MLE. And then copy and paste this following code. So copy this code, which actually would extend this. So this uses apex env.p4 underscore project to pass the values from p4 project page item to the JavaScript code, right? So we just copy this code, go to Page Designer, click this guy, paste this here. Just observe this particular code. Okay, what it does is apex env p4 project is passing on the value. Okay, click this OK, and then scrolling down. So then update the when button pressed property with extend project task. So what we do is scroll down, and when this should get executed, this should get executed when button pressed, which is when extend project task button is pressed. Okay? And then, so this process will not be executed unless that particular button is clicked. So click now, save and button to review the page. So let's save and run the page to see how it looks like now. So the button will just. Okay, so now we see extend project tasks button over here. So let's not do anything now. Scroll down. You see, select the email integration project, and if you click extend project task, you will notice that the task non-closed status will be extended. So what we do is here, we come to this particular one. Let's click email integration. Okay, and you see we have open and pending, which are 2 tasks, which is get RFPs and purchase backup server. Let's click extend project task and see the end dates. Okay, now you see it's 629 and 721, which was a 1 day has been extended for these 2 particular projects. So that's done. And then step 2 in this particular hands-on lab, in this lab, is adding JavaScript validation to your form. Okay, so let's see. Let's add a validation, JavaScript validation to your form. This is another thing that most of the developers will do. So how do you write JavaScript validations now? using JavaScript. So let's go to project tasks report page and go to edit page 5. Okay, so here to go to that location, to that particular page, you choose edit page 5. Click edit page 5 in the developer toolbar. You're now navigated to page 5. Alternatively, while you're on page designer or page 4, just click enter page 5 and click go, you'll be there in page 5. Right? So now what you're doing here is, let's scroll down. Click on validating and click create validation. So here in the under processing, you see validating. We are in page 5 now. Right click and click create validation. Scroll down a bit. Now we're going to update the property with the new settings. So let's pick up the name. Task can be closed. So this is the new validation under identification name. Enter. Language is JavaScript MLE. We need to input the JavaScript expression. So what we do is just copy this guy, passing on the value, so which is not closed. So JavaScript expression copied, and then we paste it here. Scrolling down a bit, the property editor, error message is required. Let's paste the error message to you can't update assigned to the task has been assigned and closed already. Okay. Enter the error message. And now we need to give an associated item. So associated item is P assigned. It's already assigned to X1B. Okay. One associated item is assigned to, and then you click the save button. Done. Okay. So far, so the validation has been added. Now you navigate back to project task report and click on the edit icon of the complete plan task. So this particular guy should be in bold. Complete plan is a task basically. And once you click that, you change the assign to value and click apply changes. So just put in some name, some fancy name, some your name, and just, because that's already a closed project, closed task. So enter some name and say apply changes, and you'll be able to see the validation error. So what I'm doing now is going here. So complete plan is a closed task. So I click this. Okay. And then assign to, I'm changing this name. This is a closed task. Let's put in my name and see apply changes. So I see the validation error. So my JavaScript validation error is successful because you can see the error. You can't update assign to, the task has been closed already, which we have to enter. Okay, let's close this guy. So this completes lab 3, which is extending your application using JavaScript. So now you understood how you can extend MLE functionality or JavaScript capabilities in Apex processes as well as validation. We have run 2 things here in this lab. We extend the application using JavaScript. The first one is we extended the report with the JavaScript process, which updated, whenever the last day, sorry, the end date has been extended or should be extended by 1 date upon clicking of a button, right? Otherwise, it won't extend the date. And then the second example that we saw is adding a JavaScript validation, wherein for a completed task, if you change the value of assigned to item, then it throws a validation. So for both the cases, we have used JavaScript code. So I hope you're following me. I repeat again, if you have any questions, my colleagues are there, happy to help you out in the Q&A chat, in the Q&A tab. So please do raise your hand if you have any questions. And I know if anyone is stuck so far, if you're not able to proceed until this step, but just don't want to poll, but just want to take a quick check if everyone is through until this lab. So far, we're done with 3 labs. So I hope everyone is able to follow. All right. No raising hands and no Q&A. I don't see anything. So let me proceed to the next lab, which is the last lab, which is kind of 20 minutes, I guess this would take. All right. Using external modules. So far we have done executing JavaScript within SQL commands and SQL scripts, and then we did something on the application side of the processes as well as validation. Now we learn how to load external JavaScript modules also. So these external JavaScript modules will be actually loaded into a table, a local table, and then we'll call these modules as and when required. How do we want to utilize the JavaScript capabilities within the application. The three areas which we would be exploring, this is email verification, QR code generation, which is a very common one, markdown conversion to HTML. So let's focus on this. So this is going to take around 20 minutes. So let me expand all the steps and proceed. The first thing that we need to do is make sure that we go to SQL Workshop in step 1, and then click on SQL script, and then we give a name to the SQL script that we're going to create as JavaScript modules. So from here, go to SQL Workshop. All right? And in SQL Workshop, go to SQL scripts. In SQL scripts, click Create. Here, just input the script name, JavaScript modules. Okay, let's see. Then you copy the code, which actually is creating a table. The table name is MLA module, which has 3 different modules, external modules, JavaScript modules for email verification and for code generation, and also for markdown conversion. I repeat, my colleagues are there, happy to help you out. So please feel free to reach out to them on the Q&A tab. If you're stuck at any point, don't hesitate to post your questions. And I repeat that the environment will be available forever free for you to explore Apex and, of course, other free services. Okay, so once this is done, you click the Run button, and then the code creates an MLE modules table and fetches 3 external JavaScript modules into the table. So I'm going to run this. Okay. So 3 statements, click Run now. It's actually creating a table. Okay. Don't need to click Create App at this point of time. We're not going to create an application here. We're just going to use the module stored in the local table and then call them in the application as and when we require here. Okay, so 3 statements processed and 3 are successful. Okay, so let's go. The next one is preparing the form. This is step 2. The first step, we loaded the script. We loaded the JavaScript code. We loaded the PL SQL code, which has a create table statement with the 3 modules, the JavaScript modules embedded into that, and that we have run. So that's stored now. And now let's add an email column to the project task table. So we are copying the code here in step 2, and we are going to SQL Commands. While we are here, go to SQL Workshop, SQL Commands. Now here, just run this. Alter table project tasks, you're adding an email column. Okay. Done. Table alter. So now navigate to page 5 in Page Designer. So come here to your this thing, application, go to application, go to page 5. In Page Designer, let's see what we are going to do is we are going to right click items and create a page item. and the project task. Okay, go to rendering, project task. We already have a set of items there. So right click project task and create page item. So what's this page item is for? Basically, it's for email. So we choose email as a name. Form region is project task. Column is email. So under identification, name is email. And form region is project task. Column is email. And data type is varchar by default. Okay, so that's done. And then we need to change the status sequence for the status item. So P5 status, scroll down. Let's change the sequence to 35, and then start new row has to be disabled. Deselect that particular or turn off the switch, start new row. Okay. Then next step, which is step 6, click on P5 and date, and click on budget as well, and control both the items, and make sure that the start new row is disabled. What are these two? P5 end date and P5 budget. Basically, you can do them independently, or if you can choose both of them in one go. End date, end budget. Oh, sorry. End date and budget, and start new row is disabled for both of them. Okay. Then the next step is P5 email, sequence is 75, and start new row is disabled. P5 email, scroll down, it is 100 right now. So change this to 75, so it comes further, and then start new row is disabled. The moment I do this, it moves upward. You see in the left window, sorry, the left side of the page. Now right click on project task form region and create a sub region, project task form region. Here, right click this and create sub region. We'll be creating one more sub region underneath this. Okay, so click sub region. Title is display selectors, and type is region display selectors. Title is display selector, and type is region display selector. There is a typo, then extra S there in the instruction, which just be region display selector, which is the sub region that we created under the project task region. Now right click on display selector and create one more sub-region menu item, right? So now you right click this, the newly created display selector, and create one more sub-region. Okay, scroll down and see, give it a name and set the template to blank with attributes. Okay, actually creating 2 or 3 maybe. Main, type to name is main, and template blank with attributes. So you can also filter at times if you're not sure of where exactly it is. So template blank with attributes. So we're done with this. Next, let's see, we need to create 2 more regions. Right click on the main region and create a duplicate menu. That name is QR code this time. Right click on main region again. So we are creating 3 sub-regions under display selector. Okay. So first thing is main. You can actually create one more like that, but okay. And now calling this one as QR code. Okay. Repeat the process and create one more, which name is markdown details this time. So create one more. Create sub-region. Oh, sorry. It's a duplicate one. Right click and duplicate. And this one is markdown details. Yes. Markdown details. All right. Good. So let's see. So we have three subregions now. Good. Under display selector. So if you just click this, start like this, you have main QR code, markdown details under display selectors. All right. So let's go a bit fast now. Just click on P5 ID item and hold the shift key and click on P5 budget item. So you need to drag and drop all of the items under main region. So what we need to do is select this guy and then choose this. Select all of them. And then you move all of them to the main items. So these should be moved under main, like you see under main, display selectors main, these items should be displayed right now. So that is the next step. And then select the display selector region and you set the property to this particular value for templates. For display selectors, what is that? Templates is tabs container. Tabs container. And then click on template options and enable remember active tab. Okay, so template options and you enable this one and then tab size large and save. Tab size is large and then save. Okay, now you save these changes. Okay, so let's go ahead. Next step. Okay, so now you navigate to project task report and click on the edit icon of the first row and you make see the changes. So let's go here and then let's click this guy and see how the change has been done, how the changes has been applied. You have main QR code, which is blank now, markdown details is blank, but main, and how the form items, the page items have been aligned, the form fields have been aligned on this dialog page now. So let's click close this guy and then proceed with the next step. The next step is loading external JavaScript modules. So what we do is go to shared components and click application processes. So go to application homepage, go to shared components, and then you click application processes. And then you say click create. Then you give it a name, setup MLE, and then you point on submit after page submission before computations and validations. Submit. Okay, and then say next. Easy. Set the language to JavaScript MLE, copy the code. Okay. And the next button and click create process. Next. And finally, the create process. Process. The new process is now created, and then you need to click edit page on the top right. So here you see edit page file. Then you go to the next step, which is email validation. So right click on P5 email page item and you click create validation menu. Okay, so here on this page, we have P5 email, right click and click create validation. Okay, is valid email. We're just creating a validation is valid email, and then JavaScript validation, give it a name, make sure that it's JavaScript MLE, and for JavaScript expression, let's just copy this JavaScript expression. And then we also need to input the error message for this validation. We enter a valid email address. Okay, so here, valid email address. Okay, run the report and then click on edit icon of get RFPs and update the email field and say apply changes. So the validation will fail. Okay. Save the pages. So see, run the report and click on edit icon for the get RFPs for server. Get RFPs for server. And then give some fancy this one, email for email. So this is an open one. Okay, it shows please enter a valid email address, which is an validation. Okay, so that's taken care in step 4, which is email validation. Now, step 5 is QR code generation. Let's right click on QR code subregion. And then we're gonna create a page menu, page item, and then give it a name, label. Item, give it a name, oops, label, that will be URL as is. And then form region is project task, URL, varchar. Scroll down a bit. Project task. And let's choose URL, varchar. All right. Okay, so create another page item, Q5. This time make it as a blank one. Label here. Okay, create one more page item. Let's get rid of this. You got to be a bit careful here. So I guess an instruction is missing here. So the type has to be display image. If you see the screenshot, it's obvious, but it's not there in the instruction. So instead of text field, make this as display image, please. Okay, and then choose to leave the label blank. So this is a type, an error. Sorry, this instruction is missed here. So the type is display image. And so based on is image URL stored in page item value. Scroll down based on image item stored in page item value. All right. Right click on region buttons and click region button, and then you update the names of the button. Okay, so right click on the region buttons, give the button, give it a name, generate QR code, whatever. Sequence 1, buttons position next, hot enable. Sequence 1, button position next, hot is enabled. All right. Okay, click on template options, set the style to simple and database actions, SQL architecture. Options, simple. Database actions, SQL update action. So we need to change the process to. Actually, click on processing tab and then right click on processes and click create processes. Processes, process, generate QR code, JavaScript MLE language, and copy the code. Okay. Okay, so just paste the JavaScript code here. Okay. And then when button pressed and click save button. And QR code, and then save it. Okay, so now let's do this. Let's run the project off report, click on QR code, and enter URL apex.oracle.com, and we'll see how to generate the QR code. Okay. So run this. Just go to get RFPs for a new server. QR code here. Let's first input a valid email ID. So close and error. QR code to apex.oracle.com, generate QR code. Okay, the row is updated and the QR code is generated for us. Okay, so finally, the last step is Markdown conversion to HTML. So this is the last step. Right click on Markdown details region and create page menu item. So go to here, right click, create page item, give it a name, text area, project task, text area, and formation project task, project details, and backend. Project task, details, and this is backend. Okay, and the page item we just need to create, which is a display only, and the special characters display. Okay, well, just create page item. Okay, and display only. Okay, is the special characters. Okay, finally, right there almost. Right click on generate QR code button and click duplicate menu item. So here, duplicate. Okay. Convert Markdown, label Markdown. Oops. Okay, then finally you need to click creating processes and you need to create one more process again. Choose that particular JavaScript module. Okay. And just close this. Convert Markdown. Okay. Markdown, and then you might have to extend for 5 more minutes so that I can complete this. So then Markdown, label Markdown. On the processing, create process. So here, right click, create process. Convert, and then you copy paste the code. Okay, so this is convert, and we copy paste this code into here. We copy the JavaScript module. It's this. Okay, and then we're almost there. Button press convert markdown and save it. Okay, scrolling down. Okay. Convert markdown. Okay, that's it. Yes. And then we're on the project task report, edit, and then copy this guy, and then see how the markdown code will look like. Save this page. Go here. Markdown details. This guy. So enter this, enter the markdown, and see markdown. That's it. So you see the HTML generated out of the markdown for this particular. So that's all about it. So far we have learned how to use server-side JavaScript with Apex. So what we've done in this entire hands-on workshop is we created an Apex service, and then we created a workspace, and then we tried out pseudocode in SQL Commands, and then we created an application. We created made some changes to the report. Then we did some kind of validations and processes, and then finally we loaded external modules into the table and called those modules so that we did email verification as well as QR code generation and markdown conversion. So that actually completes my part of the hands-on lab. So if you have any questions, happy to look at them and address in the Q&A time. Over to you, Victoria.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chaitanya. I'm taking the control. So really, thank you for actually you had this 2 hour. You completed all the steps. I hope that also our guest did the same. And let's say here you have some additional resource. Okay, so this lab is part of a series of application development masterclass that you can check. There is a calendar. Here you have the lab guide. We will distribute the recording of the session, so you can in any case check. Please, I also submitted in chat already this link, or you can scan right now the QR code, and you can give you the feedback on this session and how it was. Here you have some details about Chaitanya if you want to reach him to get some insight and information. Okay. Then again, always in chat, I posted before, and I'm going to post right now again the link to register for this event that is coming 5 of August. I hope to see you there. And last but not least, as I mentioned, this event, this hands-on lab is part of the Modern App Dev Masterclass series. And for this series, we have for each of the session, each of the event, a digital badge that you can get with a quiz. So the quiz is based on the content that Chaitanya presented. So you should be aware of this content now. And once you complete and get the right score, you will get this digital badge that you can show up on your LinkedIn account or create paths in your community. So I hope that you enjoy. Let's say that I don't see other question coming. I would say that we will stay connected for just 5 additional minutes, okay? And if you want, you can still reach our expert and again, thank you to them because they really reply a lot of questions into the background. And see you soon. And thank you again, guys, to join us. Bye-bye.